Dear friends, welcome to another episode of Geopolitical and Military News. In this video, we will discuss the approval by the United States Congress of the $61 billion military aid package for Ukraine and how this could affect the Russian invasion. On April 20th, the long-awaited and postponed military aid of $60.7 billion for Ukraine was finally approved in a vote in the United States Congress, with 311 votes in favor and 112 against. On the Democratic side, all 210 congressmen voted in favor, and on the Republican side, there were 101 votes in favor and 112 against. As the United States Congress is Republican majority, this division in the Republican caucus was encouraged by its Speaker, Mike Johnson, which ensured the approval of the aid package for Ukraine. The approval of this multi-billion-dollar aid was scheduled to occur in October 2023. At that time, right after the confirmation of the failure of the Ukrainian offensive launched in June, this aid from the United States was crucial to prevent Russia from taking advantage of the weakening of Ukrainian forces, completely exhausted after 4 months of a draining and tremendously costly offensive, both in equipment and human lives. However, the constant delays in the vote led to the rapid depletion of Ukrainian weapons and ammunition stocks, with the Russians obviously taking advantage of this and achieving some victories, notably the capture of the city of Avdiivka, on the outskirts of Donetsk. Without the usual flow of weapons and ammunition from the United States, Ukraine was forced to save its precious resources, something very dangerous considering the improving weather, which is beginning to allow increasingly bold maneuvers by heavy vehicles and armored vehicles, paving the way for the awaited Russian spring and summer offensive. But regarding the aid package for Ukraine, how is it exactly composed and how could it affect the Russian invasion? Of the $60.7 billion, $37 billion will go directly to the factories of the United States Defense Industrial Base, of which $23 billion will be for replenishing the stocks of the U.S. Armed Forces, and $14 billion for the Initiative for Ukraine Security Assistance, a program that allows the Pentagon to order weapons from U.S. factories to be sent to Ukraine. $11 billion of the package will be allocated to U.S. military operations in the region, mainly intelligence operations, which includes the use of drones and planes with large antennas and radars that are constantly monitoring the battlefield, minute by minute, all Russian movements, valuable information that is directly passed on to Ukraine. $8 billion correspond to non-military aid intended to help the Ukrainian government continue functioning, with the remainder, around $4.7 billion, allocated to logistical efforts for sending these equipment and also to cover expenses related to the training of Ukrainian soldiers and technicians. But in practice, how will all this money affect the Russian invasion of Ukraine? According to the Pentagon, a large part of these resources will be directed to the supply of weapons classified as advanced, which means that they will most likely be used to provide systems such as HIMARS launchers, rockets, and precision missiles, such as ATACMS used in the HIMARS launcher, and also the authentically vital air defenses, notably the Patriot, the only one in the West capable of intercepting ballistic missiles and Russian planes and bombers at long range. A portion of the resources will also be invested in the U.S. Defense Industrial Base for the expansion of assembly lines, which includes ammunition factories, mainly artillery. According to the Pentagon, the United States now produces 3 times more ammunition than before the start of the invasion of Ukraine, with the forecast of increasing production by up to 7 times over the next 2 years. An increase that it is important to note is also occurring in Europe, mainly in German factories of high metal. This means that the package will also positively affect the shipment of artillery ammunition, mainly 155 mm. An increase in efforts for the production and development of drones is also expected, a weapon that is proving decisive on the Ukrainian battlefield. With the arrival of these weapons, the first visible impact will be the intensification of combat on the front line, with Ukrainians now having the necessary means to try to hold back the Russian advance in some sectors. However, it is important to note that, despite the monetary greatness of the aid that will translate into many advanced defense systems, it is unlikely to be enough to give Ukraine the necessary means for a new major offensive in 2024, meaning that all the massive military aid that Ukraine will receive will basically serve to stabilize the front line, increasing the pace and extent of Russian casualties, and thus attempting to thwart Russian plans for a new major offensive during the dry European season. In offensive terms, it is believed that the maximum that this aid will provide will be the means for more localized actions, aiming at very specific sectors of the front line, but without great objectives or pretensions, as what happened during the failed offensive of June 2023. This is a situation that, as everyone can very well guess, deeply annoys and irritates Vladimir Putin, who, as I mentioned earlier, is advancing with the final preparations for a major offensive for the European spring and summer. If this American aid were not approved, Putin would have a great chance to advance freely through large Ukrainian areas, with many predicting significant territorial gains in areas such as Kharkiv, Kherson, and Odessa. However, now, with the approved aid, Putin may feel tempted to launch his offensive earlier than initially planned, according to the Pentagon. As soon as the Senate approves the bill, President Biden signs, expected to happen next Tuesday, April 23, the weapons and ammunition will immediately begin to be sent to Ukraine, but it is a lengthy and laborious process, which means that these weapons will only effectively be in Ukrainian hands within at least 3 or 4 weeks. Putin, knowing this, may feel motivated to advance as soon as possible, precisely to try to take advantage of the fact that Ukrainian stocks are still low. If this happens, we may be on the verge of witnessing the beginning of a new Russian offensive in the coming days. If you liked the video, leave your like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Until next time.